Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Timo Parker. Does it sound familiar to you? You've been practicing singing for a while, maybe for years, and somehow you don't seem to make any progress? And let me tell you, that's a common thing, and I also had to go through that because there are a lot of things that can prevent you from making progress. And in this video, I want to talk about some common things that prevent you from making real vocal progress, taking my own experience as an example, and hopefully you can take something away from this video. So let's jump right into it. So I remember I started singing when I was around 16 years old. At this time I started learning guitar and I just started to play open chords, the cowboy chords that everybody knows when you start guitar and you play guitar. And because there's no melody, it was a bit boring for me, so I started singing along and discovered, hey, that's actually fun to play and sing at the same time. So this led to playing in rock bands, having a lot of different projects until I started studying in my early 20s. And in this period between 16 and beginning 20s, I didn't really do any progress like vocally and just developed more as a musician, and my ear improved and my intonation got better, but my technique per se was not really improving. I also didn't really have consistent vocal lessons, and I also didn't find the right technique that was helping me until I met the teachers that taught me what I talk about today and who could help me to finally make the desired progress. Because at this age and also later when I was studying music, there were some common things that I would do wrong all the time, and looking back, these were the things that were holding me back of really making progress, beside of not knowing what I was actually doing. So what are these things that were holding me back from making the progress? First of all, it was tension. I talk about this a lot on this channel, but what I basically did, especially because I started singing with rock music, where you don't necessarily need the greatest technique if you go into a screaming mode, which I was doing at that time. I would used to get hoarse after a concert and it just didn't feel great. So this is where my journey began, where I started looking for solutions, looking for things that could help me. But somehow I couldn't find a different approach, a different solution, so I just stuck with it. And I didn't make any progress in that time. I was not able to sing higher. The feeling didn't improve when I was singing. Looking back now, I know that I used the tension to first of all increase the pitch to actually get the higher notes that now looking back are not really high, but at that time they were, and also to make the sound better. And I have a separate video where I talk about how you sing without air pressure. I will link it here. But this would have saved me a lot of time if I would have known that air pressure is actually not necessary to increase pitch and to sing higher. And there was a consequence of singing 5 years consecutively with tension, because my neck started to get more and more tense when I was singing. I never really had the problem that I lost my voice or something, but I got hoarse pretty often, especially after a gig. So there was already a pattern that I established. And this brings me actually to the next point, because once I learned and I realized that this tension and this pressure is not helping me, I actually had to unravel my old technique, my old behavior, get rid of it, and start building the new one that I'm using now. All this tension that I was using, and it was a lot and I was not even aware of it, to continuously take this pressure and this tension away. And at some point when the pressure completely disappeared and I was completely relaxed, I faced another challenge. And this also showed me why it is so attractive to use tension and air pressure. Because what happens if you are stopping to use air pressure and you finally relax is that you actually have to get used to the new sound. It's a quite different sound in the beginning because your vocal cords and all these muscles that you are supposed to use when you are singing were completely underdeveloped, because I was using so much pressure, so much tension, I didn't really had to use them. So not only I was starting from zero again, but I would say I probably started from -20 or something, and I had to rebuild an environment in my throat that actually allow me to make progress. And I talk about how to create this environment basically on this channel. You can check out this playlist where I talk about important things to understand anatomically, and also give some exercises to just prime your instrument to get to the point where you can actually make progress. So now I had to face the fact that not only my muscles were very weak, my sound was maybe not as nice, and I even had the problem, and it's a very common problem that I also see in my students, I've been through myself, that there are even notes that are not sounding. But basically you have to re-educate your vocal cords that they can operate without the tension and without the air pressure. And that means that maybe sometimes when you're completely relaxed and you want to sing a note, there's nothing coming out, there's no sound. And that's one of the most frustrating experiences that you can probably have. And the most important thing at this point is that you are accepting it and that you don't rescue the note. And what I mean by that is that you don't make this note forcefully sound by tensing something up here and by also pushing air or doing anything that increases unwellness in your body. And you really have to focus and build the awareness of when do I tense up my body. And that's really, really important. And that's a step that was really frustrating. I went through it. I stuck with it, and this is the next part, that you have to be persistent. You have to be crazy persistent to establish this technique, and it also takes a lot of commitment to make sure that whenever you're opening your mouth, whenever you're singing, that you're doing it in a relaxed way, without tension, without air pressure, because it is very easy when you just let it slip, let it go, that you come back to old patterns. It's a very tedious project in the beginning, and I know this is maybe not something you want to hear, that especially the journey in the beginning is very hard. Good news though, once you have surpassed this point, it's going to get easier and easier, and not like the other way where with tension and air pressure it gets harder and harder over time because you have to use more and more and your voice suffers more and more from it. And there are some common things that go wrong, especially if you're very driven and very motivated, is that you are trying to move too fast. So you want to have the progress on the spot, you want to have it too fast, and then you start using this rescue mechanism because you think, okay, when I sing this song, when I do this exercise and I make it sound on the spot, I will make the progress. But you will actually be quicker by accepting where you are, that it is not working, and really taking your time. And this is definitely something that slowed down my personal progress in the first 2 to 3 years, that I wanted to move too fast. I wanted to get everything together as quickly as possible, and I didn't take my time to really focus on the basics, which in singing is really like the feeling. Because when it comes to singing, your sound, especially in the beginning, is not that important, but your feeling. How does your body feel? Because if you can sing the same songs that were causing problems before, and you can now sing them effortlessly, even though the sound maybe didn't improve much, that's already a huge win. Because of this relaxed environment, your voice can actually grow, and you can work on the sound that you desire in this relaxed environment. And most of the times you don't even realize that you're making progress, and then you listen back after 6 months, maybe 3 months, maybe even a year, and you realize, wow, I really made progress here. And that's also something that can be really hard, that you can't really track the progress so easily. That's why it is so important to record yourself when you practice and just listen back from time to time and see, okay, do I make progress? And don't worry if there's no progress happening straight away. As long as you already have a better feeling when you're singing, that's already a huge progress. That's a huge win. And another mistake that I did that is correlated with moving too fast is doing too much. Because especially in the beginning, you really have to focus on the things that are holding you back. So let's say, like in my case, if you're starting from -20 because you're already carrying a lot of tension and you have a history where you have used vocal techniques that were not helping you, you first have to get rid of these habits to come to a state of 0, and then you can build it up. And I thought back then, the more I do, the quicker I will progress. So what happens after a while, if you're practicing too long, too much, your muscles get tired, and then you have to compensate because your muscles can't operate very well anymore. I actually made a separate video about how long you should practice. You can check it out here. But it is really important to not do too much, and that's really hard because especially if you want to make progress quick and you want to have the voice that you want right now, it is really hard to slow down and really focus on the basics. So if there's a time machine and I could travel back, I would say, Timo, take your time, be gentle, be kind, and slow down the process. Because with a gentle approach and persistent training that is focused on specific things, you will make progress, and at some point it's just gonna skyrocket. And also the progress is not always linear. You sometimes go up, maybe you even sometimes go down because you come back to old habits, you realize it, and then you come back up. So it's not an even journey, and it's also not an easy journey, and that's why it can be incredibly helpful to have someone on your side that can guide you through the process, that already has climbed the mountain and can guide you up the peak from up there. So to wrap this video up, accept where you are currently. It is totally fine where you are right now. Wherever you are is where you're meant to be, and from there you can take it. Slow down the process, focus on the important things, on relaxation, being kind to yourself, being gentle, especially if things don't work, and work persistently on them 5 days a week, take breaks, and as long as you're not giving up and you keep at it, you will see the results that you want to see. Alright, I hope this video was helpful to you. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like it and also subscribe to my channel because I have more voice content planned here. And today was a bit more of a story time, things that I could have avoided on my journey looking back. And just remember, you're not alone. There are a lot of other people out there that have similar problems, that face similar obstacles. And by creating this community and talking about these things, raise the awareness. I hope that all together we can improve the singing community with a bit more kindness, a bit more compassion, and finally get the progress that we deserve and that we want. Also, if you're interested in working with me, make sure to check out the link below where you can book one-on-one classes with me. In these classes, we can focus on your individual goal and take your voice to the next level. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and I see you in the next video. Bye bye.